All right, that's enough of that.
Let me ask you something. Just you and me. Just quick here. What is an acceptable level of enjoyment, we'll say, to take from these fenders are bitchy to put on these trucks, you know? What's an acceptable level of enjoyment to take in somebody else's, we'll call it misfortune, I suppose. Happenstance, shit that happens that sometimes is, where the hell's the hole? You know, son of a bitch. This stuff is rough, you know. I got a Chinese inner fender, and I got a Chinese outer fender, and then I got some GM panels. I'm trying to get all the holes to line up. I had it all together once, and it fit. But by the time you put a couple of rubbers in here, and some stuff here, and some stuff there, so now I got a bolt here that's got to go through 3 layers there, but we ain't all lining up. I might have to, I don't even know if I can stuff a die grinder in there and hog stuff. Son of a bitch. Damn it. Anyways, what was I even talking about? Oh yeah, what's an acceptable level of enjoyment to take from somebody else's misfortune? I got some misfortune coming here. Anybody want to have a giggle over it? You dirty sons of. So what I'm getting at is there's not very many places around that do what I'm doing here, this kind of stuff here. Maybe if I tighten that up. And so there's another fellow that does it, and he's not too far from me here. And sorry, I'm thinking while I'm talking, and it's hard for me to do both. So there's another fellow that does it, and he's not too far from me. And he's largely like I am. He does this stuff on his own, by himself. It's not doing good for him these days, though, because he's wearing out from it, and I don't think he can. Anyways, all his particular details don't matter. So, anyways, he's trying to do it, and so he's got to have people working for him, and so he does. And I think that's one of his problems. I'll try to get to the point, would I? So I'm in town at the old paint store, getting some of the old paint. You son of a bitch. And so talking to the fella behind the counter there, a lot of people, they take some pleasure in other people's misfortune. Okay? It's entertainment value, I guess, for them. So he must have somebody that's telling him stuff. So he asked me if I've heard the latest from this guy's place. And I says no, because I haven't. So anyway, so he proceeds to tell me that this fella, he's working on this old car he's working on. And this old car is right up this dude's alley. It's what he does. It's what he lives for, is these particular years of these old cars. So he's working on it. So he's very familiar with it, is where I'm going with that. So they're working on it, and they have a hell of a time with the hood on the car, apparently. Hard time getting the paint decent. A lot of polishing, a lot of sanding after it's painted, try to make it look good. Apparently the car is black, I'm told. So that's kind of a thing, too. So they find, where the hell are you, you son of a bitch? Oh, there it is. So they finally get everybody all happy and all ready to go together. And I really shouldn't talk while I'm doing this, should I? So they get the car all together. They're going and putting the hood on the car. And everybody's done. Everybody's happy. It's all shiny, like it's done. Put the hood on the car, bolt are all on there, and use too long of a bolt in the hood hinges. And they run all the bolts up into the hood. Anybody who's done this before knows that that's not good. And the thing that gets me about it is, like I say, He's done this for a long time. He knows these cars. And anybody who does this kind of stuff, if you've put more than two hoods on a car in your entire lifetime, you know that hood bolts are different. 95% of cars out there, the hood bolts are a completely different bolt than the whole rest of the car takes. Always. Ford, Dodge, and Chev. They're a different bolt than the rest of the car takes. And everybody who's done it knows it. Especially if the bolts go up vertically, up into the hood. So the little stubby buggers, et cetera, et cetera. So they put the hood on and they use too long of a bolt. And this hood's been a nightmare. And now you got count them, 4 boners under a blanket poking up there first thing in the morning. You got 4 kids with a stiffy laying flat on their back in bed in the morning on your black hood that you just put on that you've been fighting with for long enough to be pulling your hair out. So my first thought when he told me that was, I make the immediate connection because this stuff is a bitch. Rarely does it go good. And in a little environment like me and like him, you ain't making much money doing this stuff because you lose so much time and you lose so much around the fact of the vehicle. You might charge $100,000 to paint a car, but you're losing out of that 100 grand with running errands, with doing this, with doing that, with hiccups, with redos, with fixing stuff, with fighting with stuff, with things that are kind of your fault that happen. So you can't really charge for, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So anyways, that's the first place that my head goes with this fella's misfortune. But by the time I get back, well, and the dude that tells me the story, he's pissing himself laughing. He thinks it's funny as hell what's going on here. And I'm just thinking, good God, that would just about send me over the edge. Because I've had quite a few hiccups here in the last little while. Actually, for a few months now. It's like you take 1 step forward and 2 steps back no matter what you're doing. Sometimes you just get into those cycles. You know what I mean? And I'm in one of them cycles where I could burn this son of a bitch building to the ground this afternoon if I didn't have a conscience. And I don't know if I would get enough money out of insurance for what's in here. Not the vehicles, my stuff. So I ain't lighting her up. I'd like to. Holy Christ, would I? I'd go build birdhouses for a living. I'd go paint stripes on the roads. Anyways, doesn't matter. Anyways, by the time I get home, it makes me feel better about my predicament. And when I relate the story to my wife, and she says, "Well, see, it's not just you. It does happen to everybody." And I thought, yeah, it does. Actually, that kind of makes me feel a little bit better that, he just got kicked in the dink 4 times because his dink was sticking in the air under that blanket 4 times, and somebody walked up with a hammer and mashed her up. There you go. Did you see Sketchy? So I wouldn't say necessarily that I took enjoyment. Like I didn't come in here and bang my head on the floor trying to do a cartwheel over it, but it did make me feel better. I didn't really even snicker about it because like I said, I know what a son of a bitch it is. And it's pretty brutal, but in the same respect, it did make me feel a little bit better. So is that okay? Is that all right? Is that something that other people go through? How much pleasure should I take from that? You know what I'm saying to you? And like I say, I can't even believe that it happened. He must not have been there when they done it. Because like I said, these cars that it's Tri-5 Chevys, and that's the dude's life. So he had nothing to do with them putting that. He's got to have people that are helping him. And that's one of the worst things too is I've tried to have people out here working, and for the days that it works out for you, and they might make you $100, the days that they lose you $1,000, it takes quite a while, to even those scales out. And if you have in Canada here, if you have one guy working for you, well, you got to have 3. And I'm not even exaggerating because by the time you get everybody up your ass, by the time you get workman's compensation up your ass, and by the time you get the government up your ass for having employees, you better have a big ass because there's a lot of people wanting to climb up there. And then trying to get everybody to get out of your ass when you don't, because I've been through it. It sucks. And I don't want to do it again. And to make it worth it, because an employer has to pay a whole lot of his employees' deductions that comes off your check. If you're a working dude and especially in Canada, you look at your check and you think, holy shit, they took off this and this and that. As an employer, there's certain things that the employer matches your contribution. So they take that deduction off of your check. Well, your boss pays that exact same amount from him. So it's double that. What you see on your check is double. And there's something else that the employer pays half as much as they take off of your check as well. So it ain't just you paying it. Your boss pays it too. And then on top of that, he's got to pay you holiday pay. And for stat holidays and stuff, you're getting paid your 8 hours a day out of my pocket, but I ain't getting nothing out of you for it. And I ain't making $1 million anyways. And I ain't looking for to go on a rant and a big bitch session about that. I'm just saying that, it's there's a lot of merit to going and getting a job. That's the bottom line. But if you do go and get a job, and you get a job in a shop where you're working on old cars, and you're working for somebody who's brushing his teeth with yesterday's crusty toothpaste in the brush because he can't afford to use fresh toothpaste every day, just try to work with the guy that you're working with a little bit. Could you? Well, I got to stuff my head up underneath here and try to get some bolts to line up here and stuff. I think I might have got it. I think I might be close there. I think I'm kind of going in on a little bit of an angle, but if I wrench down on it, I might be able to get some. A cross thread is just as good. It's almost like a locking nut. Any thread is a good thread. Let's put it that way.